Welcome to my journey through the Bible. We are in Genesis 2, verses 1 through 25. We will be discussing the chapter and how it applies to our everyday life. It says that God rests on the seventh day. I find it pretty amazing that an all-powerful, almighty, all-knowing God would rest. And he did this to set an example for us. He knew that the week would take its toll on us with work and school and schedules and kids and parents and whatever else life throws at us during the week. He knew that come the end of the week, we would need time to just rest and unwind. This day is also a day that we can use to worship and draw closer to God. God knew this before he formed us. He knew that we would need a break, so he set that day. God also created us from dirt. God made our bodies from the ground, and he breathed life into us. He gave us a soul. This is very important. Don't miss this. When we die, our body was made of dirt, so it's just going to go back to the ground. It's going to be dirt and dust again. But our soul is going to go to God, and it'll be with him forever. So our worth is not in our achievements. Our worth is in God, who chose to make me and you, who formed us in his image and made us with love. You are wonderfully made. God created the Garden of Eden for Adam and Eve, and he gave them two trees in there. This chapter talks about the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. This is where free will comes into play. God gave Adam and Eve this wonderful place to live with everything that they would ever need or ever want. And he gave them one commandment. Do not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. He gave them that choice. He didn't force them. He gave them the choice. You can obey me or disobey me. But in the day that you eat of that tree, you will surely die. That's in verse 17. So God gave them the consequences. He gave them a warning. Do not eat of this tree, but if you do, you will surely die. God gives us free will today. We have a choice. We have a choice to obey him and believe in him and do the right thing, and we will be blessed for it. Or we can choose to disobey, be selfish, worry about only ourselves, and do what we want. But there are consequences for that too. Not only is there death at the end of it, there's also sin that comes into play. And sin does not only affect you, it affects all the people around you, and it affects the innocent. God made Eve for Adam because he said it was not good for him to be alone. Marriage is a gift, and I want to make 3 basic notations right here. The first one is God said man would leave his father and his mother, and he would cling unto his wife. This was an outward act. When we get married in front of a bunch of people. That's an outward act. 2, the man and the wife, or the husband and the wife, are to be joined together as one flesh. They are to be responsible for one another's well-being, and they are to put the other person's needs above their own. The only thing that should come first is God. God comes first, and then your spouse comes second. The third is the two became one flesh in intimacy and in commitment for not only physically, but sexually and mentally. And this was reserved for marriage so that it would make a very strong bond in that marriage. If you have these 3 basic commitments, you will have a very strong, firm marriage as long as it's based on God. One more thing that I would like to point out is right at the end of the chapter, it says that they were both naked and not ashamed. There was no shame. What an amazing feeling. Because today I feel we have shame for everything. We're ashamed of our bodies. We're ashamed of our homes, of our families, our cars, our jobs, our mistakes that we make. And the shame, it comes from sin. Sin is what brings shame to us. It's also what separates us from God. And we're going to see sin in the next chapter, in chapter 3.